Gadra is an educational institution that aspires to get children primarily literate in their home language.
The kids who are coming up into the sort of grade 8, grade 9 level who are actually functionally illiterate and unable to write exams and sit exams. And we realised that we are sort of plugging the problem at the top end with the matric school, but we weren't doing anything at the bottom to try and solve the problem. The goal is to come in at the bottom end instead of trying to come in and help at the matric level or even grade 10 level, which is where unfortunately most of the support is, and it's almost a little bit too late to catch up by that stage.
They slowly introduce English as a second language so that learners are literate in it by grade 3. From grade 4 onwards, English is then used as a main language for teaching and learning.
Good. Father. Good.
Mother. Gadra aims to increase the teacher's confidence and competence for both languages in the classroom. Being literate in your home language first is important. It gives you a stronger base and foundation to build on. Molteno learning materials allows Gadra to facilitate home language learning with students. Gadra has improved literacy in their target schools, but many are still under-resourced and lack basic learning materials. Developed with the South African learner in mind, the Molteno material helps teachers plan their lessons accordingly. Gadra also supplies phonics and conversation posters. Without Gadra, the walls of some classrooms and the desks of learners would remain bare, not ideal for the upbringing of potential leaders. Ms. Xoliswa Msisi has been teaching at Tantju School for the past 26 years, one of the under-resourced schools linked to the Gadra Literacy Project. She has worked with Molteno material and the Gadra project since its inception.
We have been provided by material. We've got the books for the learners, that is the learner's book for the first editional, and also for isiXhosa we do have the readers for isiXhosa.
These materials are also used with the teachers' teaching methods learnt in training, particularly with oral work.
Before you start using the book, you have to start for the oral, then they will come up.
Alongside this method, Gadra's structure of learning Xhosa before English is encouraged by Ms. Msisi.
A child must honor his or her language before she or he knows the second language. For whatever language, it will become easier for him to know the isiXhosa. Like for instance, if the child knows this is itafile, using his or her own language. For the second language, it will become easier.
Like all other teachers using Molteno material, she has undergone training.
I'm picking up now everything for foundation phase. I've been in that training done by Molteno for literacy, that is English first editional, and also for isiXhosa.
It is through Gadra training that she learned to utilize the Molteno material.
Because we're coming from that training, we have been given the readers. So I'm using the readers a lot in my classroom. Whenever, for instance, we are supposed to do learning and speaking, so we have to focus from using those books. Mrs. Mpati explains her opinion of the Molteno material used by Gadra.
It encourages children to speak freely. It encourages children to be creative thinkers.
She explains why the methods used by Gadra have such a positive effect on the children.
It's very good because when you start Xhosa first and then towards the end, about the second quarter, move to English. The children already know, if you see that when they were daily reading these words, they said, I said to them, they will know mother, fo, because they already know fo in isiXhosa, father. So they know father, children. We've got ch in Xhosa. So it's better for them to start with Xhosa, and then it's easy for them to do in English, because the syllables in English are a little bit same, even the phonic, even the sounds.
Nono marike ezilwe ono vengile nono marika zibo kulima boku
Gadra's training methods have also had a positive effect on her teaching methods and are of importance to new teachers.
For the first learners, I say excellent, perfect. They can read any book, and their writing is super.
Mboya, and I am in grade 3. I love stories. I love to hear stories. I love to read stories. And now I am going to tell you how I learned to tell stories. I say to myself, Mboya, you are special, and don't you forget it. Then I feel sad and sorry for myself. But grandmother said, I must not let that happen. She said, I must sing my song instead. It's a song she had on the radio.
Gadra is a non-profit organization and relies on funders to continue doing this important work. Funds are needed to train teachers with Molteno teaching methods, as well as to supply them with correct books and equipment.
We don't have any funding at the moment to continue with support or training. So that's why we haven't been able to distribute those materials yet, because we haven't been able to train the teachers yet.
In a year or two's time, there will be a need to refresh resources in the foundation phase. Gadra implemented these first in grade 1 in 2009, in grade 2 in 2010, and in grade 3 by this year. By 2012, the grade 1 materials will need to be refreshed.
Molteno materials are on the government requisition lists for schools, that schools would be able to actually requisition their own materials as they needed to replace them. But unfortunately, the reality in Grahamstown is that our Section 20 and 21 schools actually just cannot afford. They get so little money from government that it covers only their basic expenses. So to expect that they'll be able to afford to renew their materials is probably unrealistic, and the materials is certainly the biggest expense.
Without Gadra, Mrs. Simpati believes that learning in these schools would be significantly lower than they currently are.
Without Gadra, without it, I'm really saying so, without it we cannot do teaching to its perfection.
You can make a change to the lives of many deserving learners by getting involved. If you would like to donate money, materials or services to Gadra, please contact Kelly Long on 072 823 4877 or email her at kelly@gadraed.co.za.